the incredible, the fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, come one and come all to a film you've never seen before. But remember, folks, no refunds.
Hello, and welcome to No Refunds, the podcast where we watch bad movies so you don't have to. A ColdNorth joint. I am your host, Ben Reynolds, and this week we watched the 1990 Claudio Fragasso film, Troll 2. Joining me for this discussion, we have dapper Tim Miller.
Ambiguous introductory statement.
And Patrick the Law Morris.
Well, the funny guy over here. Now I look like a fool.
Check out everything we have going on over at ColdNorthPro.com, and if you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review wherever you found our podcast. And now, Troll 2.
What a great website.
You're late.
I'm sorry we had a small mishap.
Here are the keys. Here are ours.
Have a nice stay in Millbog.
And you in our city.
Still telling the same story, Josh?
Powers of evil are very strong here. I must leave.
All right. So that brings us to the Google plot synopsis, where we Google the movie and we type in we just give you what Google spits out for the plot synopsis of the film when you on the side, you know.
I might be about to learn what this movie was about.
I
kind of feel like you might have stolen this from the VHS cover.
Oh, okay.
When young Joshua learns that he will be going on vacation with his family to a small town called Nilbog, he protests adamantly. He is warned by the spirit of his deceased grandfather that goblins populate the town. His parents, Michael and Diana, dismiss his apprehensions, but soon learn to appreciate their son's warnings. Guided by his grandfather's ghost, will Joshua and his family stand a chance in fighting off these evil beings?
So that I totally feel like I agree with you, because that definitely sounds like it's straight off the VHS cover. And the reason that I agree with you on that is because that's like a really popular thing to do on covers is like, will Joshua be able to save the day? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it really feels like it was stolen off of the VHS cover to me. Like,
yeah.
Whereas
just enough away where it doesn't say exactly what the movie's about. Makes you wonder a little.
Well, and that's like a lot of the time it feels like the Google plot synopsis is like a boiled down version of what a VHS cover would have. And this one, it just feels like there's enough detail and it's long enough that it's like, oh yeah, this was like straight up stolen off the VHS cover.
Well, so in all fairness to Google, I don't know what I would have written either. Like, I get to this and I'm like, shit. Like, what do I do? I know. I'll just steal it from the back of the VHS cover. Is that plagiarism?
Probably not, because you're representing the film.
I don't know.
Also, technically, you're just using a search engine to find out stuff about the movie, so they could have easily taken that quote and put it there.
I think this may be the finest knit we've ever picked.
So this may also be the best plot synopsis Google has ever spit out for us.
Hence, Google's best work is stolen from the back of the VHS cover.
It all makes sense.
And it came with maybe our worst movie. No, Gotti was still worse, but
oh, that's a real shot to the nuts for Gotti. That's a real punch in the dick.
Fuck you, Kevin Connolly.
Tell me that
Fuck
you.
you. All right, so we feel like this is, I mean, that is what happened in the movie, but it makes it sound more interesting than the movie actually was.
Yeah. Also, they didn't mention. Okay, so last week you mentioned that they didn't that the plot synopsis didn't mention Isabel in Transformers. This plot synopsis doesn't mention Elliot at all.
Yeah.
Or that abusive ass relationship.
Yeah. A lot of ultimatums there.
Yeah. Too many for a 17-year-old.
And then punched him in the face that one time. That was fucked up.
I know.
Called thinking with your dick.
Choose
Well-
Elliot, me or your friends. Proceeds to punch him in the face.
Yeah. That was dark. That was dark. Well, yeah. It sounds like we're ready to move on to the questions, I think.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. Mostly what I'm
All right.
excited for is the internet research.
Oh, yeah. There's some good stuff.
I hope it was whole-assed this week.
I tried. I did a little bit of pre-research. Maybe you'd call it pre-search.
Pre-search. It's like pre-cum, but less fun.
Exactly.
I don't know. Depends on how you do it.
All right, so let's move to our questions. So the first question, well, each film we go through, we revisit these 6 questions to lead our discussion. And the first question is, how bad was it? And I think we've already basically established that this movie is terrible.
It was bad.
This movie is so bad. Of all of the movies we've watched, this is the one I've been the least excited for. I mentioned last week.
You're excited for Gotti?
No, the least excited. I guess that would imply that I was excited at all. No, this is the one that I was dreading the most. Last week,
I guess I was kind of dreading this too, I would say.
yeah, last week I was like really not wanting to watch Transformers, and then I watched it and it was good. And this week I was really not wanting to watch this, and then I watched it and I was like, wow, I did not underestimate that at all.
So I wrote, this is so bad, or like, this is absurdly stupid, or this is a very bad movie, or like, I literally have that note at least 4 times.
In a 90-minute movie.
I also wrote that I can't wait till this is over.
Also, okay, go, real quick. Want to run back to the VHS sleeve. So Diana and Michael are quick to like jump to Joshua's aid or whatever it said.
Not at all.
No, they weren't quick at all. Like,
It took them a good hour to get to that point.
Michael walks in on this fucking cult trying to force Joshua to eat ice cream, and he's like, my son and I have to go.
And then he's not at all weirded out when he gets home and they're all at his house already.
Yeah.
How'd they beat him there?
Well,
that's probably an unanswerable question.
Goblin tunnels. Goblin tunnels. You're welcome.
By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
No. So when he goes
have you
back,
seen the goblins in Lord of the Rings? They can climb on walls and shit. Like,
it's true.
They clearly, Pat's right about the goblin tunnels. They definitely use goblin tunnels and just like crawled through them
They
really
also
fast.
can disappear and teleport. It looks like.
Like, Grandpa can freeze time.
Hold really still.
That was definitely hilarious. How they were literally all still, like, you could see them all moving.
And like there is no good way to do that in movies, and so when movies freeze time, that is a very common.
At that point in time, there was no good way to do it,
right?
Because now you could do it with a green screen.
I mean, even back then you could do it with a green screen, but it's like,
well, yeah, but the green screen wouldn't look as quality. Like,
that's
now,
true.
Yeah.
Now you can.
That's like Tony Stark is shot basically, like, all of his parts are basically shot entirely on green screen, basically.
Yeah, I mean, we watched a movie where 30-foot robot trucks fought each other last week, and it looked believable. So yes, they could make humans sit still now, but like back then, it was just like they would be like, "All right, just sit really, really still," and like this movie, they couldn't even do that. Like, they couldn't even do that, right?
I can't step on my half-assed internet research. But one last thing on this steps a little bit on it, but I didn't write this down. But so one last thing about the VHS sleeve. Apparently, the VHS sleeve had a picture of a kid, like it was an animated picture of a kid holding a troll doll, like with the like hair, running down the hallway from like a werewolf.
What?
What?
It's like that NES cover where Mega Man is like holding a gun, and it's like, that's not what's happening in this game at all.
Exactly.
Mega Man's entire arm is a gun. That's the cool part about Mega Man. Not like some weirdo in a yellow suit with like arms out to here holding a gun.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, I did not find the cover, a picture of the cover, but I was like, that's pretty entertaining that that's what they put on the cover.
Well, I don't want to step in your research either, but this is a sequel to a movie that was completely unrelated.
Well, yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
All right. So we're into what made it bad, and I think that what made it the single worst thing was the dialogue.
Oh yeah.
Oh
And-
yeah.
And dialogue was probably the worst out of anything we've seen so far.
Yeah, like the dialogue was worse than Gotti. I mean, Gotti just had the problem of John Gotti Jr. being a terrible actor, whereas the entire cast was terrible actors.
Yeah. Okay. A question for you guys though, for the panel: who was the worst actor?
Okay, so not worst character.
Not worst character. Who was the worst actor of the bunch?
The dad by far.
Really?
Yeah.
I was gonna say it was Diana or Holly.
Diana's the mom. The mom was pretty bad because I kept thinking that she was a goblin based on how weird she was acting.
I know, and she looks really old.
Yeah, she was not good. And then the other one you said
The
was
sister.
the sister, which yeah, she was not great.
Yeah. And like in that scene at the beginning where he like Elliot sneaks into her room, she's like practically yelling. Like this was porno acting.
I literally wrote that down. I wrote like, man. My second note is midgets in troll costumes with video game music.
Exactly. But the dialogue is what I think was the number one contributor. There was like so many lines that I wrote down. I loved Elliot's line, "Are you nuts? What are you trying to turn me into a homo?"
I did. It was like the fifth thing I wrote down was the dialogue sounds like a porno.
Yeah, exactly. And then just when Arnold and girl, who had no name, run up to the church, and she's just like, "Let's hide in this house," and it's just like super obviously a church. And they even
Sing that
say,
song I love so much.
"Yeah."
Row your boat.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wrote when she said that, I wrote in all caps, "Sing, Joshua, sing, bitch."
Yeah, who thought that was a good idea? Seriously.
And then she's
It's
just
like that
it's
song
just
I love so much.
singing, row, row, row your boat.
Oh man. Well, like yeah, the fact that Elliot had an RV.
Oh, that was
RV.
awesome. Where the fuck did you get an RV, Elliot?
So now Elliot's cruising in the RV.
Before we get off the dialogue, one, I think probably my favorite line was, let's see, "We need time for some things to happen." It's just like, you're not even trying to write exposition dialogue at this point. You're just like,
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, oh god, so much was so bad. All right, so we oh yeah, that was a terrible line too.
which one?
That they're eating her, then they're gonna eat me.
Oh yeah, Arnold was.
Oh my god!
As
That's
that
got-
happened,
Got
Jillian
a
was
lot of
like,
views on YouTube.
"Oh man!" As that happened, Jillian looked at the TV and she was like, "Oh my god!" But that girl that got eaten, one, kind of hot.
Yeah.
But question, why did he tackle her?
Yeah, that seemed inappropriate.
He's just trying to like help her, and then he's like, fuck it, I'll tackle you.
All right, you're getting tackled, bitch. That's
Tripped on a log.
it seemed inappropriate, but also like, so she was kind of maybe the best actress in the whole movie.
You're just saying that because you found her attractive.
No, because she was the only one who was even somewhat okay. I know. Okay, I wouldn't do that
What?
because Audrey was not a good actress
Wait, which one's Audrey?
in Godzilla.
Oh,
Maria Patillo.
Jesus. You gotta give us some context.
That's the throwback.
Forgot about her.
She was super hot, not a good actress. This chick, hot, but arguably the best actress in the bunch. That's not saying a lot.
I can't agree with
Yeah,
that because that entire scene where she's like stumbling up the stairs, like sick. I'm just like, why? One, why are you going upstairs? And two, you're really dragging this out, like incredibly.
She's going for that Oscar, Tim.
Ugh, no. I was just shaking my head the whole time. I couldn't even deal with her.
Yeah. Yeah, there was so much that was so bad. Anything else that we want to highlight for what made it so bad?
Special effects.
What special effects?
Well, specifically the goblin costumes. Some of them emoted, and there was no consistency. Like some of them, you saw the eyes. Some of them just had no eyes.
the
some
one
of
looked
them-
like kind of like a deranged, scary beaker almost.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one with the bug eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them would like had tongues sticking out of the costume. Like there was very clearly a mouth hole.
And then the weird fact that they were from Stonehenge.
Yeah.
That was weird.
How was that related when this was in
I don't
Utah? And
Well, was it actually supposed to be Utah, or was it just shot in Utah?
well, they had a Utah license plate.
Oh yeah, you're right. They did have a Utah license.
I mean, I don't think that that's indicative that the movie takes place there at all, because it could just be that that's something they overlooked. But
Yeah, they
Like
just
they did
rented it from
overlook a
Utah.
lot. Yeah,
There was-
they did
there
overlook
was-
a lot.
like almost every part of this movie is something that made this movie bad. So, for example, like just looking at the cinematography, not that I'm like, I kind of hate it when people say, oh, the cinematography. It just sounds pretty uppity, but because I'm not like a film guy, but anytime that, like in the scene where they were all sitting really still, anytime one of them would start to wobble too much, they would like cut away, and they would be on one for like half a second, and then they would cut away because nobody could sit still. And then the scenes where they're driving to the place, it's very clearly just a guy hanging out of another car with a camera.
So I've got another weird little one thing. Well, no, I guess I'll wait for unanswerable questions for this. All right, well, let's move on to our character questions and start out with which character was the worst. Patrick, let's hear your answer.
Ooh.
This was the hardest movie for me to come up with these so far, by far,
Maybe Diana.
because there were so many. Yeah.
Maybe Diana. I mean, I really
Right.
hated her from the very beginning. It was like she came in and literally just from the very beginning, she was just such a bitch. She's like, what does she say at the beginning? She's like,
About the
it was hard
grandfather?
on your father and your sister and me, his daughter. And I'm like, yeah, your son is struggling with losing his grandfather. And you're like, hey, you know what? It was fucking really hard on me too. And I'm his daughter, so like sack up.
Get
Like,
over it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
matter more.
And then she even just says, like, what did the therapist say? And he's like, he's just a creation of my subconscious. And it's like, what?
Yeah, that was weird.
That
And, like-
therapy's doing wonders.
And she was like, yeah, you need to strike him from your memory.
Oh, yeah. Banish him from your memory. And we were like, oh, God, poor kid. Like,
Yeah. That's definitely all right. That's fair.
maybe
Tim,
Diana.
what-
Maybe Diana.
All right. Tim, who are you throwing your money at?
Honestly, I'm gonna go with Diane as well. The mother was god awful in this movie. She never listened to her son. She was always like getting in the way pretty much of everything in the entire movie. Like I can't remember like a scene at all where anything she did helped in any way.
She had one redeeming factor, and that was after Joshua pissed on all the food, Michael is fucking furious, right? And she says, "Please don't hit him." And I'm like, "Yeah, please don't hit your kid."
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But also that's like bare minimum, like just basic expectation. Don't hit your kids. Do people really get credit for that anymore? Well, now, or is that like something we're going to credit people with?
Yeah, hard to say.
Guess.
I mean, I think there's people who still spank kids. I don't have kids, so I don't know.
It's fucked up.
I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, spanking and like hitting with a belt is quite a huge different thing. So I don't think we can get into that.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another time, another place and another time.
One last thing I want to mention, especially for her, that actually really pissed me off. When they're in the house after they find out that they're all the goblins, and the goblins are just standing outside and they don't do a damn thing.
Oh yeah.
They just let them go back in the house. At night during one of the scenes, she just looks straight at the camera and like mouths her lines terribly. So
I actually noticed that.
So I'm actually going to change my my thing from earlier, from the dad to her, because I just remembered that by looking at my notes, and I'm like, yeah, that's god awful. You don't do that.
You can see her looking like right over the camera and just reading her lines, and it's like, you're so fucking bad at your job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I had written down, I think the witch's name was Credence.
Yes.
With her fucked up teeth.
Yeah, that was gross.
Yeah. But you guys kind of, I don't know if I really necessarily, I just didn't really like that character, I think. And you guys kind of convinced me that Diana was a worse character.
She was such a piece of shit.
I don't have any logical argument to make for Diana or for Credence. Other than it's just, I mean,
I didn't like her either.
Weird character. It was a weird character.
It was it was really weird how like with Credence the makeup artist went to the trouble to put like an individual splotch on each, like every single tooth, like right in the middle.
Maybe she just had fucked up teeth.
That was the idea.
No, because they cleaned up her teeth when she got kind of hot, but her boobs were still sagging.
That was still hot.
Wait, they cleaned up her teeth in one scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, when she turned into the
And
hot
then
young
she
Biddy
went and
and
made out and made a bunch of
sex.
popcorn with that kid.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was the same woman.
Oh, it was.
And that's the scene that got me laid, ladies and gentlemen.
Ah, nice. Tim's like, more popcorn.
There you go.
Yeah, okay. She's like walking around with this fucking like ear of corn on, and then she like holsters it like it's a fucking gun, and then she just rolls in and holds it up like it's the sexiest food of all time, and then just statutory rapes a little boy. Yeah.
Popcorn makers start going off everywhere.
Yeah, popcorn, and you can tell there's just totally people off to the side throwing popcorn on him.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. So then which character was the best / most compelling?
Oh, do I get to go first?
Sure.
Hardcore Grandpa Seth.
Yes!
Motherfucker gave Joshua a Molotov cocktail. Like,
I would argue that that's not necessarily a good thing.
but like Grandpa Seth in one hand has a Molotov cocktail and in the other hand has a fire extinguisher. And he looks at his grandson, who is maybe 8, and like, here, Joshua, you take this Molotov.
Let me light it for you.
Yeah. He's like, go over there, light the wick, and make something happen. And it's like, what are you doing? This is a child.
So Tim told me already that he's with you with Grandpa.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I'm gonna go a slightly different route and go with Elliot.
Oh, I like that.
Because Elliot was just an innocent teenager trying to get some.
Oh yeah, he was just trying to get his dick wet.
And like he wanted to hang out with his boys and get his dick wet.
I know.
He was trying to balance out life. And
there was so much pressure on him. I'm like, motherfucker, this is a 17-year-old kid. Why are we saying, oh, don't hang out with your friends? And like they kept calling them his boys.
Well, there was that one scene in the RV where he and that dude are literally like
sleeping next to each other, like
almost cuddling,
really close. No shirts. We don't know if they're wearing anything else.
I literally wrote at that point. I wrote, where is it? Oh man. I definitely wrote like, are they banging?
We know he's not a homo because she didn't punch him in the nuts.
He didn't get turned into a. Oh yeah, are the dudes banging? Sleeping very close.
I had made a similar note on that one.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, no judgment.
That was what I was gonna move into unanswerable questions earlier, but now we've already asked the question: were they banging? Even if Elliot was banging his friends, I'd still think he was the best character.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, more power to him.
But I do believe that maybe these guys were just super lonely and maybe banging each other.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with being bi and banging out bro when your bro lied to you and told you that there were going to be a lot of hot girls there. I guess that's kind of a knock against Elliot because he did lie to his friends to get them to come along by saying that there's going to be a lot of hot,
that is true,
filling young girls there, and they were really just goblins.
And then all but one of them did die. So
yeah, Elliot did get.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I guess that is and Grandpa was trying to get everybody to not go in the first place.
Fine. And also gave a child a Molotov cocktail. So he's very trusting.
Joshua how to make Molotovs?
He's parenting 101 right there.
He's clearly a very trusting man.
Also a knock against Elliot. He was clearly holding his girlfriend in front of him when between himself and the goblins.
I would do the same.
Self-preservation, man.
Sorry, Jill.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked Elliot. You were right. He was an innocent teenage kid just trying to get his dick wet, putting it up his friends' butts. He was sick of doing that. And so he was trying to put it in Holly's little vagina. And Holly was never wearing a bra in this movie.
She's also 17.
I'm not saying I was like, because Holly looked fucking weird. But like
that whole like sweaty workout scene was fucking weird.
Yeah.
And like she's
like the close-ups with her like just like glistening was so fucking weird.
And also I know that it was I know that it was appropriate for the time workout attire, but that is some pretty seriously revealing unitard right there.
Yeah, especially towards the crotch area.
Yeah. Like that was uncomfortable. And then
but then when he snuck in there, they basically did say that they were banging, didn't they? Or he wanted to bang, or there was some innuendo that suggested.
I'm not sure if
there was
they
interest
were
in banging.
I'm not sure if they were already banging, but I know that they wanted to, and I have zero doubt that they went to his house and banged at the end of the movie.
Oh yeah, that's totally what they did.
Yeah, fair enough.
But when Diana like comes in during that workout scene, and Holly is like sitting there on the bench press, and then she leaves, and then it's like several minutes later, and then Elliot climbs up into her room, and she's still like sitting there on the bench press, and I'm like, man, she's fucking getting some reps in. Like,
she's beef. She's a beefcake.
Gotta I get swole.
All right. So, was it so bad it was good?
Absolutely.
I'm with Tim. I think
Absolutely.
So-
I've watched this movie multiple times. I still love it to this day.
So. Like, I mean, it's comedically bad. Like,
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
get sold on this because the way that we have measured that previously on this show is, would you go back to it? And when asking that question, I would never watch this movie again. And that was one of the first things I said when the movie was over. I said, I will never watch this movie again.
see, like, I feel like if I was in like a group setting,
Okay, yeah.
this would be a lot of fun to watch. Like, especially with like, yeah, people having some drinks and stuff, like being silly, and like people, especially if it's all people who have seen it before, and like
Yep.
oh my god, scene is coming.
I mean,
and shit
maybe
like
it
that.
would be even more fun to watch with people who haven't seen it.
Well, I feel like, I mean, I think that the mix, if you had a mix, that could make it fun. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I think that it's got rewatchability in like a comedic way.
Okay.
You know, like,
With a group, yeah. All right. I'll concede this.
it was painful to watch by myself. Like, and that's one of the things that, like, yeah, like it was not fun to watch by myself. Like,
and
especially like I literally had the Nuggets game on next to it because I was so.
I think that's what makes doing this show really difficult, because like if we were all in the same spot and we could all get together and watch these movies together, all of our notes would be trash. But we would have a lot more fun watching these movies. But
Well, yeah,
we're all
'cause we would
sitting
joke
down
about
and
'em.
watching these movies alone every week. It's like, why are we doing this to ourselves?
It's how much it is. I mean, well, that's. I mean, we watch bad movies, so you don't have to.
I guess
That is
that's
our
why we're
mantra.
doing it.
We might just have to start watching them together over Skype.
Oh God, yeah,
It's going to
seriously.
kill us if we don't.
Camaraderie.
If they're this bad.
Oh man.
All right, so would it have been better as a Netflix HBO series? Definitely not.
Fuck no.
No.
like-
Maybe get some backstory on that preacher goblin and the ice cream and the milk and the veganism or vegetarianism.
Oh, I've got some background at that for you in fucking half-assed internet research. But I don't need to know more about this story at all.
Yeah, no. And 94 minutes was tough enough.
Yeah.
Arguably, playing devil's advocate here, you could argue that an entire series would give them time to flesh out the goblins, their motives, and all sorts of other things in this. But again, not enough to make me ever want to watch an HBO series based on it.
No.
Can you imagine if HBO picked up Troll 2 to convert it into a series?
I would be like, huh.
I would
It's our next
honestly,
project after Game of Thrones.
I would watch it. I would watch it purely out of morbid curiosity of like, well, I wonder what they're going to do with this.
Well, I mean, they would probably make something
Good?
not terrible. I don't know. It would be interesting to see what they would do, but I don't think it would feel anything like this. I
No.
think it would feel
It
like
would.
a different movie
Yeah.
or it would feel like a different story. So like, I don't even know if then like, that's why I feel like that would get out of the spirit of the question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess,
Yep.
yeah, I don't think this one would work well.
No, I don't think so.
So the two unanswerable questions that I have written down for this week, this brings us to unanswerable questions.
Oh,
and
really?
The two I have written down this week, I found answers for in my half-assed internet research. So the first one was, where did this idea come from? And I found out the answer. So I'll answer that in half-assed internet research. And then the next one was, why is it called Troll 2? And I also found out that answer too. So I'll
Okay.
answer both.
Question.
All right, let's hear Tim's unanswerable question.
What happened to the popcorn dude? Like, he was just there and he was like, too much popcorn. Did he live? Did he die? Did he
I
just eat all the
know.
popcorn?
Well,
And
in the
did
RV
he get
too.
to
They
bang
just
that
left the
chick?
RV. And they just left the RV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he just live in Nilbog now?
Maybe he's a tree
Getting-
person.
Possibly.
An ent.
'Cause he did eat the popcorn.
He did.
Yeah, but it wasn't green.
No, so he's not.
But the
a
milk
tree
wasn't
person.
green either.
That's true.
true.
It was rotted though. Did he bang Credence?
Oh, totally.
Hopefully.
They totally had sex.
Okay, so I have an unanswerable question, or maybe it's answerable. I don't know. Jillian felt pretty confident. At the end, when Joshua is looking for Diana, and he finds the shower is covered in green, and then he goes downstairs, and on the kitchen island, the goblins are feasting on Diana. Are we looking at some titties that are covered in green slime?
I think so.
Because I thought those were titties.
I don't know that I paid enough attention.
And
to
I
notice
thought,
that.
this seems like a movie that would have some titties in it to hook people's attention. And that's a really weird place to put the titties.
In the very last scene. Yeah.
In the very last scene, covered in green slime and so close to the camera, I can't possibly focus on them.
Well, and Diana's, which Diana was not that attractive.
No.
It's your lackluster reward for finishing this movie.
Credence. I would want to see those titties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially younger
Yeah.
Credence.
They seemed pretty saggy and widespread though.
Yeah. In that one dress, when she was the popcorn dress.
Yeah, the popcorn dress.
But yeah, I guess so. Then the last unanswerable question I had is, were Elliot and his friends bi and banging each other?
I think we answered that.
I think so.
It seems it's all signs point to yes.
I think they were stuffing each other. Here's an unanswerable question. Why was Joshua such a big DC fan?
Dude, that Joker poster in his room was awesome.
Yeah,
It was.
dude had so that was a Killing Joke poster.
Yep.
And he also had a Batman 89 poster. He also had a Superman poster. And there was one more. And they were all DC. Where did the DC affiliation come in? I don't know.
DC was big in the 80s. He was a kid.
You didn't
Like
realize
comics.
that goblins were DC characters?
Oh, is this a DC IP?
You didn't realize that they're actually Troll 2 3 Troll 2 is coming out next year, and it's going to be in the DC universe.
Oh, snap.
I like that it's Troll 2 and not
That's
Troll
cool.
3, because Troll 3 is called The Crawlers.
Yeah, and Troll 4 is called something else too.
Oh, there's a Troll 4.
Yes.
Wow. Let's never watch those.
Yeah. No. They had, it was weird. The weird stuff with distributors making money and being like, yeah, we can continue this series, and I'm pretty sure that this might have been straight to video.
I hope.
Now it sounds like we're getting to we're to our favorite time.
Okay.
From the Ringers podcast network, Rewatchables, we do some half-assed internet research. So we start out each week in the half-assed internet research with our box office numbers. The only thing I could find for this was the budget, and this was an estimated budget of $200,000.
So that's real
And
cheap.
it shows.
Yeah, that's easily the cheapest film we've done.
Yeah. And it does show. Because
It definitely shows.
come to think of it, I bet that not only was that Utah license plate a slip up, I bet that was just someone on the crew's van or like the director's van.
Oh, we'll get that. So the script was originally called Goblins. It began as a way for Grasso's wife to vent her frustrations about her friends becoming vegetarian.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I wrote, where is it? Hold on a second. Give me 1 second, because I wrote, is this something along the lines of like, is this
wrote,
vegetarian
ladies and gentlemen.
propaganda?
You wrote something. I am.
Okay. Is this movie some sort of anti-vegetarian propaganda? The power of goodness driven by baloney and preservatives. A
Yeah,
double-decker bologna sandwich.
Yum.
Grandpa saves the day, baby. Yeah. So apparently, that's where the idea came from. And now I'm going to answer my other one of is it called Troll 2? So distributors in the U.S. felt that the film would not succeed on its own as a standalone project, being called Goblins. So they insisted it be named Troll 2, despite not having anything to do with the first movie.
All right.
I guess that's fair.
It didn't really help it.
No. So then the film was produced by Joe D'Amato, who is an Italian exploitation maker. And so I don't know if you guys know much about exploitation film, but that's essentially when people are paying attention to trends and they basically are more interested in just making a timely movie that pays attention to trends to try and make money rather than actually making a good movie.
So it's the same way that, like, I mean, it's The Asylum. The Asylum made, like, Transmorphers.
Yeah, exactly.
200,000 Leagues Under the Sea and the Poseidon Project.
Yes, exactly. It's that exact type of thing. And so, but it's funny to me because this movie came out 3 years after The Princess Bride, and it fucking starts out with a grandfather reading his kid a book.
It was
just like Princess Bride.
It was very reminiscent of Princess Bride, but in a terrible way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Joshua's room wasn't nearly as cool as that kid's room. Fred Savage.
It's true.
Hell no.
So another way of him being really cheap, the entire score was made on a Korg M1 synthesizer, and part of it was one of the Korg M1's demo tracks just sped up.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
That's awesome.
Oh God.
Yeah.
There was a lot of music in this movie, but then there was also a lot of awkward silence. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the scene where I forget his name, the blonde kid who sweats green ends up dying, he's like pulling Arnold out of the house in Arnold's pot. Like, totally silent.
He was nailed to that pot. The bottoms of his shoes were nailed to that pot, and he read that he had to stay in the makeup for like, it was like 6 hours or something like that.
Fuck that.
No, 14 hours.
Oh God.
So yeah, when Arnold slowly turns into a tree, the actor Darren Ewing's shoes were screwed into the base of the tree pot, allowing him to remain stationary throughout the scene. He had to stand inside the pot in his tree makeup for 14 hours.
He had to stand in the pot for 14 hours, not just in makeup, but
yeah.
Oh God. Fuck that. But they did the scene and he's like pulling the pot and Arnold out of the house. And it's just total silence. And it's like 2 minutes of him just pulling this pot. Silence. And I was like, this is good.
Mm-hmm. Good work. Good work.
This is something I've chosen to do with my time.
So the production crew was made up almost entirely of non-English speaking Italians brought to America by Fragrasso. And Fragrasso and his crew largely relied on broken pidgin English to communicate with the cast, who recalled not being able to understand much of what went on because Fragrasso did not speak English fluently at all, nor did his wife.
That explains a lot about the dialogue.
So the cast also had very few experienced actors and was primarily assembled from residents of nearby towns who responded to an open casting call, hoping to win roles as extras.
Oh, congratulations. You're the star.
So George Hardy, who played the dad, he was a local dentist with no acting experience who showed up only for fun and was given one of the film's largest speaking roles. And Don Packard, who played the like kind of weird, creepy like store owner.
Yeah.
he was actually a patient at a nearby mental hospital and was cast and filmed his role while on a day trip. And he later recalled that he had smoked an enormous amount of marijuana prior to filming and had no idea what was happening around him. And that his disturbed performance in the film was not acting. He was mentally unbalanced and fucking insane.
That's
Wow.
A, that's really sad. B, wow, this movie is terrible. Fuck you, Fagrasso.
So, as neither Fagrasso nor his wife, Druidi, spoke fluent English, the shooting script was written in the same broken dialect in which they spoke.
Oh my god.
The cast would later recall that the script was only given to them scene by scene, and so they had difficulty understanding the dialogue that was written, and they didn't know what was like going on, like where it was going, and they didn't know what the plot was.
They probably, because movies are almost never shot in order, and so they probably just like had no idea where in the movie this scene fell, and they were just given a scene and were probably like, how is my character supposed to be reacting to this? And just had no clue. Nothing to work off of.
So another one that I found that was interesting was Jason Stedman, who played, I think he was one of the friends. Yeah, he was one of the friends. He wore a yellow shirt with a logo during the first half of shooting. It got lost at one point, and instead of refilming all the scenes with a different shirt, the filming crew told Stedman to buy another yellow shirt. And the shirt that he bought didn't look at all like his previous yellow shirt, but he still had to wear it for the rest of production. So he's just like in a different shirt randomly in some of the scenes.
Also, I like that you're on a fucking movie with a $200,000 budget, and they're like, "Hey kid, go buy another shirt." Like, like fuck you. Tell costumes to do that.
Buy two shirts that are the same, so if one gets lost, you have another. That concept.
What? Can you imagine that kid coming back with that receipt? Whoa. You bought two shirts? Well, yeah, I was thinking, listen, son, we're on a budget here, okay?
But so apparently some of the cast members offered to correct their lines to sound more grammatically and syntactically correct. But Fagrasso demanded that they deliver their lines verbatim.
Oh, boy.
God. Explains a lot.
Despite the majority of the cast ascribing to the same story, Fagrasso has vehemently denied their version of events, and once interrupted a panel discussion being conducted by the cast to call them dogs and accuse them of lying about their experiences.
Wow.
Oh my god. Yeah, fuck you, Fagrasso.
Yeah, it sounds like he was
Terrible.
a real dickhead. Like, just terrible. Apparently though, he at one point he was almost going to make a sequel to it that was going to be called Troll 2 Part 2.
Oh my god.
But that has died out now since.
I would
I'm
love
not surprised.
I would love if they made a Troll 2 Part 2 and brought back the original cast.
He did actually try to get the little boy to come back, Michael Stevenson, and Michael Stevenson actually made a documentary about the movie called like Best Worst Film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's actually a very very popular documentary, or Best Worst Movie, excuse me. It came out in 2009, and that's where Don Packard also like talked about his like being all fucked up and stuff. It seems like that documentary would actually be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
From all the stuff that I read, made me like, yeah, a lot of this stuff was from that documentary that my half-assed internet research.
I kind of just want to watch that movie now.
Yeah, right. Well, since we don't only watch bad movies and TV, let's talk about some of the stuff that we've genuinely enjoyed watching lately. Tim, we started with you last week, so let's start with Pat this week.
So this week I was just browsing through Gabe's Movies Anywhere because I have access to that, and decided to watch Dark Knight Rises because it had been a few years.
Probably. I may not have even seen that since theaters.
It's real good. Like, it's a really good movie. And, like, the Bane voice and the relationship between Robin and Gordon and, like, the ending. I don't know. I know that a lot of people think it was the worst of the three. I think that it was not the best of the three, but I think that it was the second best.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time, and now I'm kind of like, damn, I should rewatch that because I really,
it's really good.
I don't think that I've seen it since theaters, honestly.
Yeah.
Or maybe I watched like when it was on like HBO or something, like the first time it was on HBO after that movie came out, I maybe watched it, but it's definitely been
a while.
A long time since I saw that.
I would highly recommend it. It's very enjoyable. Tom Hardy makes a fucking fantastic Bane. Looking back at that whole trilogy of movies, the villains and the casting of the villains specifically is so unbelievably perfect. Like Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul and Heath Ledger, rest in peace, as Joker, and then Tom Hardy as Bane. Like, that was just...
And what's the chick who's in that one also, who's a bad guy?
Marion Cotillard.
Yeah, she was
awesome.
I think it's Marion Cotillard.
Cotillard.
That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, like, Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. I can't stand Anne Hathaway, and I don't think she's sexy at all, except for that movie.
Yeah, she kind of ruined herself with doing Princess
Diaries. Yeah, Princess Diaries sucks. But no, I would highly recommend, if you haven't seen it in a while, go check out that movie. And like, now I'm getting myself hyped for it. I think I might go watch Batman Begins again, because that it's been a while since I've seen that one, and that's the best of the three.
Yeah. Tim, what about you?
So I've kind of been digging into some old history shows on World War II. I've been watching Battle 360 a lot and Patton 360.
Oh.
They're two separate shows, but each of them focuses on the Western and then the European theater. And they recreate all sorts of battles, like through 3D imaging and such, and show you pretty much what happened throughout almost like all the major battles throughout World War II. And it's a really nice show. I like history, so it's something that's really fun to watch for me.
That is really cool. Where are you watching that?
So I have the DVDs of Battle 360, and then historychannel.com. You can usually find at least some stuff for it, but I've had to scour YouTube for a lot of Patton 360, unfortunately.
Okay, I wonder if History Channel has an app, an Apple TV app, because that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like something I would enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, me personally, I've purchased Enter the Spider-Verse, and I fucking rewatched that, and it's such a fucking good movie.
Oh my god, I'm gonna go watch that right after this.
It's so fucking good.
I might have to buy it.
And I also have it in 4K too, and so yeah, like it's such a beautiful movie. Like,
that movie
the animation
so
is
good.
The animation is incredible. The voice work is incredible. The soundtrack is awesome.
The soundtrack is so fucking good. And like, I've listened to that
I've literally
soundtrack.
watched it like I'll even just like now I'll like literally just put on like watch like 10 minutes of it randomly and then start doing something else before I do something else, because it's just so good.
It's so satisfying. Like, every single scene is so satisfying in that movie, and just like, fuck, I'm gonna go watch that movie right now.
Peter Porker.
I want you to have this. It fits in your pocket. Tim, did you see it yet?
I haven't.
Oh god,
I still haven't seen it, so I might actually just have to purchase it and bite the bullet and just watch it tonight.
If I send you my Movies Anywhere login, you could probably watch it on
totally watch it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, do it up.
All right. Sweet.
Oh,
well, yeah.
Now we're all gonna watch Spider-Man.
Yay!
That wraps up this week's discussion of Troll 2. Don't forget to check out our incredible website, ColdNorthPro.com.
What a great website.
where you can see everything we do in one place. Listen to us weekly on our other podcast that's about gaming, Hard Reset.
Not our other gaming podcast.
I've realized that I was saying that awkwardly before, but next time we'll be watching the 2009 Neveldine and Taylor film Gamer.
Oh God.
See you next time. And don't forget, no refunds.